your child. It doesn't matter who you are, put Nigeria first. No matter where you come from, no matter your religion, we are one. Let's live together.
How can we develop when we're always in crisis? Families have become refugees in their country. No matter our differences, show some understanding.
No matter where you come from, no matter your religion, we are one. Let's live together.
Slavery is an evil practice abolished all over the world over 200 years ago. But today, human traffickers are selling human beings as slaves in Africa. It is your responsibility to make sure that you and the people you know do not fall into slavery. Don't believe fake promises of jobs abroad.
People went to say Libya, Italy no use you when they carry me on top water. 4 days now they lock me for inside house, no food, no water. I nearly die. Now God, when me heaven and earth, now save me. If you get 1 naira for Nigeria, you get junior one, you say you no get papa, you no get mama, now make you come out. I beg go they do farm work. You better pass person when enter road.
Don't accept to travel to Europe through the Sahara Desert. You may be walking into slavery. Don't be a slave.
This is a public service announcement brought to you by NTA.
Hello. Electric power supply is an unavoidable prerequisite to any nation's growth. And tonight, we focus on the power sector to learn more about its development in Nigeria. Holistic energy development has eluded the country for decades, despite the huge financial investments in the sector by successive administrations. The pace of energy development remains below the desired result. The consequences of these are that the inability of the nation to provide sufficient electricity supply to support its economy and giant population, despite being one of the largest primary energy producers in the world. Challenges in the sector all these years, according to experts, stem from poor utilization of assets, deferred maintenance, delays in the implementation of new projects, vulnerable and overloaded transmission system, as well as bottlenecks in the generation and distribution of electricity. But after an assessment of the journey so far in the power sector since 2015, the present administration says that the narrative has changed from there is not enough power to how power can be distributed. This assurance guarantee must have brought confidence to power production business, which resulted to increased power supply that took the nation to an all-time high of 7,000 megawatts. How did we get there? What are the new inputs into generation, transmission, and distribution processes of electricity production? Tonight, we turn attention on the power sector and its development trajectory since 2015. Our guest is Babatunde Raji Fashola San, Minister of Power, Works and Housing. I am Kirin Umayo, and this is Weekend File. Thank you for tuning in, and let's now bring you the news which comes first. The remains of Nigeria's former president, Alhaji Shehu Shagari, have been laid to rest at his country home, Shagari, in Sokoto State. Ali Tokoro reports.
The Second Republic President Shehu Shagari died at the age of 93 on Friday at the National Hospital Abuja after a brief illness. The funeral prayer led by Professor Galadanchi was attended by a federal government delegation headed by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, governors of Zamfara, Sokoto and Kebbi, as well as traditional rulers, members of the family and sympathizers. After the prayer, the body was lowered into the grave in a family cemetery located within the residence of the former president. The military paid their last respect after the burial. Late President Shagari is described as an embodiment of patriotism.
The entire nation is still in total shock because of the selfless services he has rendered this country.
Our prayer is that may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant him Jannatul Firdaus.
He is survived by 2 wives and many children. Ali Utukur, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari has paid tribute once again to the late President Shehu Shagari, directing that flags should fly at half-mast in military formations and paramilitary formations, as well as their public buildings for 3 days. In a statement by the President, Buhari himself, he said that paying tribute once again to Shagari is worth doing. And in a statement by the Special Advisor to the President of Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, it says that Buhari described late Alhaji Shagari as a man of many parts, a teacher, local authority administrator, politician, minister and president who served his country with dedication and moderation. On behalf of the federal government, the president sent his condolences to the people of Nigeria, particularly the late president's family and the government and people of Sokoto State. And may his soul rest in peace. Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed has described as indecent and unfortunate the manner in which some political actors in Kwara State have engaged in trivializing the April armed robbery attack on banks, which left at its wake 33 people dead. The minister said this at the 2018 Jikadi Festival in Offa, Kwara State. Anthony Folsom reports.
Describing efforts to trivialize the dastardly act as indecent, the minister frowned at claims of compensating the victims in monetary terms, which he said cannot be equated with the number of lives lost in the incident.
These desperados were quoted as saying on a radio program that when they visited this town to commiserate with the people after the attack, they donated 10 million naira, even when what was stolen from the bank vote was only 7 million naira. Now, let us ask them, how many of the lives that were lost were brought back by the money they gave us? How can any sane person equate human life with money?
The minister commended the resilience of the people of Offa in their resolve that such incident will never happen again.
Never again will any armed robber, any hoodlum, any brigand shed the blood of any innocent person in this town. That is why they raised 700 million naira to build the ultra-modern mobile police force, barracks.
The Olofa of Offa, Oba Mufta Gbadamosi Esoye II, expressed gratitude for the show of love and concern by the minister.
We appreciate your commitment to Offa development, and we pray that the Almighty Allah will continue to be with you.
On his part, the national president of Offa Development Union, Najim Yasin, called for consistent support for the union by Offa sons and daughters to pursue more developmental projects.
The Honorable Minister have appointed one of us to go for cultural training in Ghana. So, Honorable Minister, we appreciate you.
The 2018 Ijakadi is the 7th since it was initiated. In Offa, Kwara State, Anthony Folsom, NTA News.
And now to political matters. The re-election bid of President Muhammadu Buhari in the 2019 general election has received a major boost in Katsina State with the donation of 200 vehicles to the campaign team. The donation came from an APC stalwart in Katsina State. Awal Haliru has that report.
The need for Nigerians to give President Muhammadu Buhari another mandate in the forthcoming general elections to enable the government continue with development drives on improved security, fight against corruption and economic recovery has been some of the reasons behind the continued support from well-meaning citizens of the state. The APC stalwart Alhaji Dahiru Mangal donated 100 vehicles to the national campaign team and another 100 vehicles to the state campaign team to support the re-election campaign of President Buhari and Governor Aminu Bello Masari. The vehicles were presented to Governor Masari by representative of the donor. He was optimistic that the electorate will remain supportive to President Buhari-led APC government to enable it to realize its policies for the development of the country. The chairman of the APC Campaign Council for President Muhammadu Buhari and Governor Aminu Bello Masari in the state, Dr. Mustafa Mohammed Inwa, said all measures necessary have been put in place to ensure victory of President Buhari and Governor Masari in the 2019 general election.
Because we believe, though we are going out for campaign from vote for vote, we have responsibility as government to ensure that the lives and properties of citizenry of this state are well protected.
In Katsina, Awal Haliru, NTA News.
The Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, has reiterated federal government's commitment towards providing more critical infrastructure to drive the development of the country. Riyanu Bala reports that the SGF was speaking in Hong local government of Adamawa State while inspecting some federal projects in the area.
Before the intervention of World Bank in collaboration with the federal government, the Hong-Garhagaya road has been a nightmare for motorists plying it due to its deplorable nature. The Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Gida Mustafa, while inspecting the road, expressed satisfaction with the pace and quality of the work.
It's a distance of about 21 kilometers. Because of the level of work they are doing, I'm very assured that they will complete it before the rains come in.
We have suffered a lot on this road, and there is a lot of economic benefits coming out from that community. If we don't thank the President Muhammad Buhari, then we are ungrateful people.
The SGF was also at the Hong Cottage Hospital, where it is experiencing a facelift in both structure and facility. Boss Mustafa, who appreciated the level of work done on the project, said the federal government is committed to provide more critical infrastructures for enhanced growth and development of the country. In the meantime, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation has visited the Menene Buhari Bindo campaign organization in Yola, where he called on the electorates to re-elect President Muhammadu Buhari for more security and economic growth. In Yola, Rayanu Bala, NTA News.
Now, the world today has become deeply dependent on sustained availability of electric power, and Nigeria will not be left behind, so says the federal government. In the second part of our program tonight, we present our correspondence report on development trajectory in the power sector. And our guest, the Honorable Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Raji Fashola, is already in our Lagos studios, standing by for the program. But that's when we return.
Politics, democratically, affords a level playing field for everyone who carries the will and courage to lead a people in the right direction.
I wish to call on women to go and spread the good news and accomplishment of the present administration.
Women inevitably are the right source to pave this path that can bring good governance, structural stability, rapid economic growth, and basic human rights to all its citizenry. There is no better time than now to experience their prowess in this era, when women all over the world are showing that they have the right tools to build a nation. The Buhari-led administration and APC have aligned with its purpose to involve women with the right vision. The idea is not just for participation, but inclusive participation.
We can exert more power than we would have individually in garnering the majority of registered women and youth voters to vote for the Buhari Osibanjo team come 2019.
This is what change is all about. This is the vision of the All Progressives Congress. This is for a new Nigeria.
You know, from day one, Globe makes life easier. They brought us per second billing, unbelievable data packages, and even an optic fiber cable to make sure we optimize. There are two things in our lives we depend on: the communication and information, voice and data. Whether you sell, buy, learn, teach, serve, or lead, it really comes down to those two things: voice or data. Today's world is all about you. You want what you want, how you want it, and Glow delivers. The freedom to use voice and data the way you like on every recharge. Easy.
Glow Yakata. Recharge 100 Naira and get 2,200 Naira. Minimum 500 Naira to call all networks and 10 friends and family. Plus all the data you need. Up to 6 gigabytes. Buy a Glow SIM or dial *220# to migrate. Glow, Grandmasters of Data.
Election 2019 is here.
This is a clarion call to all Nigerians by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. On February 16, 2019, presidential and National Assembly elections will be conducted nationwide. Similarly, on March 2, 2019, governorship and state assembly elections will take place. INEC is committed to making the 2019 general elections the best we have ever had. Credible persons are being recruited and trained to handle polling units and collation centers at all levels. Our card readers have been upgraded and will be deployed to all polling units to prevent voter impersonation. We will involve technology in the conduct of elections to prevent fraud. Your votes will count. Join hands with the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. Let's make Nigeria proud. This message is from the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. INEC, making your votes count, consolidating our democracy.
But 3G is great, 4G is better. You don't know what you're missing till you experience it. Buy an Airtel SIM to enjoy double data on Nigeria's widest 4G network.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
We are here to invite you to our 2018 into 2019 crossover service, titled Crossover Without Carryover. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be powerful. The presence of God will be tangible. The anointing will be heavy. The word will be strong. And there will be multiplied testimonies.
Amen.
At the Glory Dome on the Lord's Garden on the airport road of Abuja by 9 p.m. of Monday.
We look forward to seeing you. We want you to especially be our guest. And I know that your testimonies begin to resound from that night.
You will never remain the same.
Amen.
God bless you.
Amen.
In Jesus' precious name. Amen.
Season's greetings from the Nigeria Police Force. The Inspector General of Police, IGP Ibrahim Batum Idris, NPM, MNI, on behalf of the entire officers and men of the Nigeria Police Force, felicitates with the entire Christian community in our great country Nigeria as they celebrate this year's Christmas and New Year. He enjoins the Christians faithful to emulate the virtues of Jesus Christ by propagating peace, demonstrating love, forgiveness, and harmonious coexistence among citizens irrespective of religious, ethnic, and political inclinations. The IGP assures all Nigerians of adequate security before, during, and after the Yuletide, hence the massive deployment of officers and men of the force across the country. However, he appeals to the public to partner with police by being vigilant, security conscious, and providing useful information to the police deployed in their localities. Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year in advance.
You're welcome back. In the history of most developed nations, cities, and towns, industrialization under the Buhari administration, Nigeria has been stepping up efforts to provide the enabling environment for industrialization to thrive. It is in this regard that the Buhari administration has been committing huge financial resources to stabilize electricity supply in the country. Usman Ali takes a look at this new thinking and milestones garnered so far.
It's a dawn of new era in the history of power sector when the federal government came up with new plans to turn around the sector. This include the Power Sector Recovery Plan program targeting incremental, then steady and uninterrupted power supply, and the intervention fund of 701 billion naira payment assurance guarantee for gas suppliers, in addition to restoring the confidence of generation companies. Since 2015, an average of additional 1,000 megawatt comes to the grid steadily, thereby increasing hours of supply to homes and industries.
Now, this government has given enormous resources that no government has given in the last 30 years or more in order to meet these challenges.
For the intervention, they were only getting 30% of whatever the value that is being generated to the market. And in a market where you have 70% losses, you agree with me that it was really bad. So government intervened with intervention fund of 701 billion naira.
Industrial power development is also the target of the Buhari administration, with efforts to wake up the sleeping giant, the Ajakuta Steel, which has 2 power plants with a capacity of generating 110 megawatt. This year alone, the Buhari government signed various agreements with China Africa International Corporation on renewable energy.
I was part of the presidential delegation to the historic state visit in China. We were able to get 18 power infrastructure consortium companies that are interested in developing Nigeria's coal potential to power. An agreement was signed to generate 4,000 megawatts of power through coal.
Though there are challenges standing on the way to realizing the dreams, there are higher hopes and expectations through the massive intervention by the federal government. In Abuja, Usman Aliu, NTA News.
Last year, the Federal Executive Council approved the construction of the Mambila Hydropower Project in Gembu, Saduana local government area of Taraba State. But delay in resolving some issues surrounding pre-commencement work is generating concerns among stakeholders in the state and beyond. Joseph Olsen tells us more.
From the tributaries of the waterfalls and smaller rivers flowing down to the Donga River lies the water that will power the Mambila Hydropower Plant in Gembu, Saudana local government area of Taraba State.
And you can imagine that if this one source alone is going to generate 3,050 megawatts and feed it to the national grid, we are definitely going to reduce the power shortage in this country by about 80%.
I believe that all things will work out very well for our state.
The project, which is expected to be completed in 6 years, experts believe will be a major boost to the agricultural and tourism potential of the area and its environs, as well as a major add-on to the country's energy sector. From Gembu, Joseph Sound O10, NTA News.
Traders in Ariaria International Market, Aba in Abia State, have expressed mixed feelings over the 9.5 megawatts electrification project powered in the second week of this month. NECA Ono reports that while they are excited about the stable supply of electricity offered by the project, they are, however, skeptical about the undefined cost of subscription.
The Ariaria Market Independent Power Project, which started on the 28th October 2017, was aimed at providing constant power supply to the international market for improved production, an effort towards the promotion for patronage of made-in-Nigeria goods, which is in high ranking in the market, especially bags, shoes, and clothes. The market was, however, powered in the second week of December 2018 with high hopes by traders.
It's fully functional, unlike the EEDC. This one is very effective and it's kind of 24 hours light.
But barely 1 week after the market was powered, traders alleged that most of them were disconnected on demand for 4,000 naira from each shop owner for registration before their monthly billing.
Osubanjo came to Abia State and tell us that he will give us the light free of charge. So finally, the people in charge said that we should pay for 4,000 pesos, which is unfair.
Just for about 2 days, the light just showed off. The third day, they cut it off. And we begin to say, how can we pay 4,000 to use a light that the government have given us free of charge?
A situation they alleged has forced most of the traders to revert to use of generators. Meanwhile, efforts to interact with the management of the power project failed, as NTA News crew was denied access to the project site. In Aba, Neka Onu, NTA News.
Power project.
All right, now let's get Hamza Musa Makrafi to give us an update on Kashimbila hydropower project.
On the heels of his 2015 campaign, President Buhari made a commitment to the people of Taraba State to deliver and to also start the biggest hydropower project in Nigeria at Mambila to secure 3,050 megawatts. There is a history of abandonment due to funding gaps for the Kashimbila project, as the Mambila project did not even take up after decades of conception. But as the saying goes, there is now light at the end of the tunnel for the two projects. With diligent implementation, the government approved 46.1 billion naira for the Kashimbila Dam infrastructure and hydropower components, completed last year in October. The original plan to control flooding from Lake Inyos in the Cameroon has been achieved to protect 6 million Nigerians in 6 states downstream. With additional funding and in a record time of less than 8 months, construction of power evacuation infrastructure has brightened the prospects. Work is completed at Kashimbila Switchyard.
It is the first destination of the generated power from the 40 megawatts dam infrastructure.
Substations at Takum, Wukari, and an extension of similar facility at Yandeb of Benue State, as well as line construction of 132/33 kV, totaling 285 kilometers, have attained 88% completion.
Federal government is desirous to take all the parties along so that at the end of the day, during the commissioning, everybody now has gotten the experience and the feel of actually this project that they've been taking along.
Kashimbila multi-purpose dam project, the people admit, is for prosperity of Nigeria. In Abuja, Hamza Musa Makarfi, NTA News.
And you're watching Weekend File on the network service of the NTA. In a moment, we'll be speaking with our guest, who is the Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Raji Fashola, who's already seated in our Lagos studios for the discussion segment of the program. But that will be after this short break.
What's up?
His friends didn't come.
Hey, let's practice.
But you're going out.
Don't worry about me.
Nothing satisfies a mother more than seeing a child grow up. But I know as he sweats, he'll face the risk of germs which can cause skin irritation.
That's why you need the new best ever Dettol Cool. Its new advanced formulation with extra menthol protects from up to 100 illness-causing germs and gives your family icy cool freshness.
Growing up needs Dettol protection.
Greetings from FCMB, my bank and I.
Psst, you in the air-conditioned office with the itchy throat. Strepsils. Girl in the spotlight with the raspy throat. Strepsils. You in the pollution. Yes, you. Dry throat. Strepsils. Hello in the downpour with the scratchy throat. Take Strepsils. Strepsils, with its soothing medicinal ingredients, will heal the harm done to your throat from external factors. Strepsils! Strepsils! Strepsils, for a dry, itchy, raspy...
Me, I am ready for the party. Oh yeah, I want to be smarter. I go really early, oh. I know your story. I go yaba to buy material. I go time my daily, yeah. I gonna say jump. If you see my daily, oh, it go on everybody. Let me guide you to yellow. Let me guide you to yellow. Let me guide you to yellow. Let me guide you to yellow.
3G is great. 4G is better. You don't know what you're missing till you experience it. Upgrade to a 4G device and SIM, SMS GET to 141 to enjoy double data on Nigeria's widest 4G network.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
What's up?
His friends didn't come.
Hey, let's practice.
But you're going out.
Don't worry about me.
Nothing satisfies a mother more than seeing a child grow up. But I know as he sweats, he'll face the risk of germs which can cause skin irritation.
That's why you need the new best ever Dettol Cool. Its new advanced formulation with extra menthol protects from up to 100 illness-causing germs and gives your family icy cool freshness.
Growing up needs Dettol protection.
The candidates. A presidential town hall co-production between Daria Media and NTA, supported by the MacArthur Foundation. 4 presidential town halls, 4 political parties and their presidential and vice presidential candidates. 4 Wednesdays in January 2019, 9th, 16th, 23rd and 30th January, from 7 to 9 p.m. Town hall venue, Sheraton Hotel, Abuja. Moderator, Kadria Ahmed. The candidates will be broadcast live on NTA and other partner TV and radio stations, as well as streamed online on NTA and DTV.media. If you are over 18 and want to be part of the audience, apply online at daria.media or use the hashtag NGTheCandidates or participate online using the hashtag NGTheCandidates.
It is that time of the year when we appreciate all those that mean so much to us. All sponsors, our clients, government at all levels, corporate bodies, advertisers, religious bodies, civil society groups, political parties, business, and above all, you, our esteemed viewers. Together we made 2018 great. Together we shall make 2019 even greater. And that is why we say thank you. Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year.
And thank you for staying with us. And at this point, Once again, let's introduce our guest for today, who happens to be Babatunde Raji Fashola, son, the Honorable Minister of Power, Works and Housing. He is in our Lagos studios. Good evening, Honorable Minister, and welcome to Weekend File.
Good evening to you and good evening to Nigerians, and compliments of the season.
We would like to ask you to do an assessment of the power sector, a brief assessment of the power sector. Are you satisfied with the current state of affairs of the sector?
I think before I respond, I would also like to use this opportunity to send my message of condolence to the Shagari family, to the government and people of Sokoto, for the passing of President Shehu Shagari, and may his soul rest in peace. May God grant his family and the people of Sokoto, especially Shagari, to bear the fortitude of his loss.
Let's go to the assessment I'd like you to do for a start.
We are dealing with human beings. The more power you produce every day, the more people that are being born who need power, the more people that are getting into business who need power, the more latent demand that comes. But when one takes stock, I think the point to make is that we have walked our talk, we have fulfilled our promise. And it's important to benchmark power, not just as power, electricity itself. It is an economic enabler. And that is why it is no accident that this government is committed to ensuring that there's incremental power, there's steady power, and inevitably uninterrupted power, because we are committed to enabling business to be competitive, to be efficient, to sustain growth, and to produce jobs for manufacturing, for agri, not just production, but also processing and packaging and storage and so on. All of these are part of the fundamentals for driving economic growth. And that's why this government is committed not only to power as an enabler, but also to infrastructure as an enabler of business and job creation and economic growth.
All right, sir. The Mambila Hydropower Station is a major project, which the present administration is working hard to get off the ground. But there was a report recently that it's being stalled. What was the contract all about? And of course, is there any problem or challenge between government and, of course, the contractor?
Well, I think that first, Mambila Hydropower Project is not just a power project. It is also an economic driver. It is an investment in infrastructure. And the context is to understand first that it is $5.7 billion. I can't recall in the short term when Nigeria dedicated that kind of money to any one project. It would take almost 6 years to construct. During the construction, it will require 18 million bags of cement. It will require 18 million tons of aggregates, sand, stone, and all of those things. It will require 42,000 tons of steel. At the moment, not less than 116 Nigerian companies have expressed interest in participating. Shipping companies, insurance companies, transport companies, logistic companies, security companies. This is the way to create jobs. Over 6 years, there will be shipping, there will be banking, there will be importation, there will be logistics, transportation. That is what Mambila signifies, and that is what President Buhari is committed to doing. So just constructing it alone is going to create economic opportunities for jobs over 6 years. At its conclusion, it would provide 3,050 megawatts of power to what we have. It will provide irrigation opportunities for agric in Taraba and parts of the northeast. That is Nigeria's perhaps most richest agricultural treasure. That is where Highland tea comes from. But a lot more value can go into Highland tea and so many other produce. You can plant flowers, you can export flowers from that region. So that is what it's about. It's taken us 40 years with all sorts of backs and forth. So first of all, in terms of size and scope, it is a challenging project. Now, in terms of this contract, I think it is important also to say that Nigeria's economy has been challenged by people who in the past have, for want of a better word, acted as commission agents, brokerage agents, 10%ers, who really don't add value. So who is this contractor who claims that he has a contract? What has he built before to be entrusted with a $5 billion project? In any event, he has gone to court, he has gone to arbitration on a contract that, in my opinion as a lawyer, has no basis, because the basis of that contract is that the Federal Executive Council, the highest decision-making body in this country, met on the 21st of May, 2003, to consider a proposal by this company called Sunrise, whatever. And when they considered the memo presented by the Minister for Power then, they decided that the memo should be stepped down. So no decision to award a contract was taken at that meeting. They gave the minister directives to go and do other things and come back with the memorandum. That was on the 21st of May, 2003. On 22nd of May, the same minister who was told to step down the contract wrote a letter to this Sunrise saying that the Federal Executive Council had approved the contract that was not approved. And within 24 hours, this contractor purported to accept that contract. 6 months later, after that minister was changed, the new Minister for Power then said, look, there was no agreement to this effect. I'm cancelling the contract. That is the contract that this contractor has carried around since 2003, claiming under the PDP administration that he has a contract. Now, what have we done? There are 3 Chinese companies that he brought. One different company for one administration, one for each administration, and they were all in court when we came. We got them out of court. We got them to sign a joint venture agreement after President Buhari took this issue with President Xi Jinping in his 2016 China visit. And they agreed to deal government to government. Nigerian government with Chinese government using Chinese contractors to be funded by China Exim Bank. So in a government-to-government relationship, where is the middleman's rule? So it's in arbitration, and I think the point to note that Nigerians must know, this purported contractor, one Mr. Alenu Adeson, I go back to his history, and you will find that he has been involved in this kind of transactions before. The MT Tuma case during the Babangida administration, I remember when they said a tanker vessel load of petrol was missing. If my memory is correct, I think there were criminal charges at the time. I don't know how they concluded. So, but that's the background. And government has now decided we don't need middlemen. So when President Buhari is saying we will enable business, we are dealing with legitimate businessmen. And the period of percentage and brokerage is over. That is the truth. There's a court case, but there is no injunction. I went with the former Minister for Finance, Mrs. Adeosun, to negotiate with the China Exim Bank, and we brought up this arbitration issue before them, and they said it wasn't an issue for them, that they were going to deal. But in structuring the finance and all of this, of course, there will be hurdles to cross. It's a big project. We have provisioned for our counterpart funding part of it in the 2018 budget. We have also done so, I believe, in the 2019 budget. And our contribution to even start the early works, planning the surveys, resettlement, and all of that is going on. The President has approved that part of that money should come from the Infrastructure Development Fund funded by the NSIA. So I don't expect that it will be a project without difficulties. It is big, and we are up to the challenges and to the difficulties. But it is our way of using infrastructure to enable business and to create work. That is similar to what you have happening on the Second Niger Bridge. And when people say, oh, we haven't seen the bridge, a lot of things are going on inside the water, piling, cement, and all of that. For example, in terms of economic opportunities, the Second Niger Bridge is going to require, I believe, 644,000 tons of aggregate. is going to require 21 million tons of cement, about 4 million cubic meters of sand, and about 2,000 tons of steel. Now, that is supply, production, manufacturing, transporting, labor. So the economy is on its way. And you will see from the last quarter GDP report, that is perhaps the first time in a long time, if ever, that oil prices dropped, oil production dropped, Nigeria's economy recorded a growth of 0.3% from 1.5 in quarter 2 to 1.8 in quarter 3. Let all of the economists take note. Something has taken. What we need to do is to double that capacity, that we can actually grow with minimum or reduce oil prices. Make no mistake about it, we still need the high oil prices to invest more today in infrastructure, build more roads, build more bridges, build more hospitals, schools, highways. But what we are saying now is that when oil prices drop in future, our economy should be resilient to absorb the shock. People should be able to get on with their lives because we will have invested the money in infrastructure. That is what President Buhari's Economic Recovery and Growth Plan is all about. An economy that lasts. Not one where we had growth for 7 years, for 10 years or 6 years of that 10 years, 7% growth. But it was being reported on every media. There were no jobs because the foundations of that growth were very brittle. It was commission agents, money moving paper, and becoming a billionaire overnight. This time, it will be produced by hard work, sweat, hard work, and brick and mortar.
Honorable Minister, I hope you'll be making your answers brief so that we can touch on very critical areas slated for this conversation. Now, let's go to the Katsina Wind Farm, where 10 megawatt project, 10 megawatts is expected. Now, that has reached advanced stage and still far from being realized, even after assurances by your ministry that it was to be delivered by the end of the year. So, what's the situation now at the Katsina Wind Farm?
Challenges that you face in project delivery, sometimes your delivery dates slip negatively, sometimes they slip positively. But what is good to say about Katsina Wind Farm, and I thought that I saw some of the footages on your report. There are 37 wind farms, wind turbines there, if I recall, and at the moment, 15 are already operational, and they were turning when you showed the footage, if you can bring it up again. The remaining 22, we had issues with the contractor. They were demanding changes to pricing and all of that, and we saw that the contractor really was using a local person to do the work and taking all of our money. So we had to terminate that contract and use a local contractor who has actually been doing the work, who has been trained by them to complete it. And the Federal Executive Council has approved that. I think that was approved in October, late October. So, and what we also want to do, which wasn't part of the original plan, was to extend the power to the Musaya Adua University in Katsina. So it's not just enough to produce power. The 2 megawatts is being generated from that place already. And I believe Kano Disco is the beneficiary of that power already. So we plan to finish the remaining turbines and put the 8 on, and also dedicate some of it to the university as part of our energizing education project. So we have to run a line that goes to about 30-something kilometers, and that is what is causing some of the delays we have to deal with.
Power consumers in area market by in Abia State have complained about being asked to pay 4,000 naira subscription fee. How do you react to this?
Of it for the first time on your program, we will look into it. What I do know is that when we started, we had a partnership with the governor of Abia State. We had a stakeholders meeting with the consumers. When I say we, government to government and the developer, because it's not government that is building that power plant. It's a private developer that we encourage to go in there so that we can at least prove and demonstrate that market men and women can get electricity. I am also happy to hear that I think what is going on is a pre-commissioning testing. because there are 37,000 shops there that have to be connected. And I think we have done roughly about 3,000 to 4,000 from the reports I got at the end of November. So they knew what the terms were. We met our representatives and the businessman and the community and the Abia State representative met with them. We will solve the issues, but let me say very clearly and categorically, nobody at inception promised them that they will get power free. Nobody serves electricity free in any part of the world that I know. There is somebody has to pay for it. Electricity is not free. So, and perhaps in relation, we will share with them. We know how much they were paying before we advise and encourage the developer to go there. They were paying roughly 10.5 million naira a day for 4 hours electricity provided by thousands of small generators. Now they confirm that the electricity that they have tested is stable. And how can that then be free when the one that was 4 hours was costing the whole market 10.5 million naira a day?
Looking at the alternative to sources of power, coal, for instance, is an option. And we should as well complement other conventional sources. What is the government doing in this direction?
Again, as you know, electricity has been privatized. Most of the power plants that I'm talking to you about that we are completing, we are started, and we are trying to complete them. So we are encouraging private businesses to go into generation. There is one very possible developer who already has a coal mining license. He already has a power generation license. He has a site. And what he's trying to do now is to complete a power purchase agreement, which is the document that enables you then raise capital to do so. We are close to seeing that happen. We have factored in coal into our energy mix as we will use solar, as we will use hydro, as we will use gas and other sources. Coal provides an enormous opportunity, again, around the coal belt of Nigeria in the southeast and in the north-central area of Kogi and thereabouts for mining, which is another enabler of jobs and employment. So we will see some of that happen. There are other interests that have not advanced like his, but in the fullness of time, you will see it. But it's important to also let people know that producing coal power takes longer time to deliver than probably a thermal plant that uses gas, where you just need the pipeline because you need constant mining of coal. You need accessibility to water for cooling. You need conveyor belts to take the coal from the mines into the plant and the boiler room and all of that. So, but it will happen.
How is the federal government pursuing the power purchase agreement signed under China-Africa International Cooperation Committee with regards to renewable energy in Nigeria?
That's new on me. There are departments of government that represent us at some of these international meetings and fora where memoranda of understandings and all of that are signed. But what I know is that there's a government policy for renewable energy. There's a government policy to support the deployment of solar systems, solar panels, lithium batteries, and all of the enablers for delivering solar. There is also a government policy, and I think I should take this opportunity because there's some misunderstanding in the public about the import duty. There is actually a zero import duty for solar parts that are brought in and assembled here. But if you bring the system fully assembled from outside, you pay, I think, a duty of 5%. So the reason behind that is that even if it is just bringing in the parts and assembling them here, President Buhari wants to see young men and women, Nigerian boys and girls, men and women, engage in doing something with their hands so that they can get employed. And so that has been causing some misunderstanding that some people say, oh, on one hand is zero duty, on another hand is 5%. The clarification confirmed to me by my colleagues, the Comptroller General of Customs and the Minister of Finance, is that if you bring in fully assembled systems, you pay duty because you have taken the jobs away from Nigeria. But if you bring in bits and pieces and parts, CKDs to be assembled here, you are bringing jobs here, we will give you duty zero so that our people can benefit.
Now, what will be the final question on this conversation segment? From our investigation, it does appear that there seems to be a stable power in the last couple of months, and many Nigerians have attested to that. What will you attribute that to?
The commitment of Mr. President, his Vice President, his economic team, my colleagues in the Federal Executive Council, and all of the very determined businessmen and women in the power value chain who are working hard to deliver on the possibilities that we see. It is also a faithful implementation of the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan. We are not yet at stable power. We will get there, but we are not yet there. And as many of the power plants you have highlighted and some that you have not discussed, like Gurara, Dadinkowa, Afam, and so on, come on stream, Kaduna, we will be within touching distance. So, but it's important to say that we have walked our talk. And it is also important to highlight that this is in dry season. And two things are happening. They are not achievements for us. They are just demonstrations that we can fix this country. Our methods are better and our manpower is far superior. Two things: stable power, reliable power, and reliable power experience in dry weather, in harmattan, in heat. And that doesn't mean there are no challenges, and we'll continue to respond. And also, at this time of the year, there is fuel supply. And that just shows that our methods have worked. And we can only get better from here. We can't go back from here.
At this point, we'd like to thank you for your time and, of course, what we've been able to explain this evening on Weekend File. Thank you indeed for finding time to be part of our program tonight. With the Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, he's been talking to us on the development trajectory of the power sector between 2015 and now. This is Weekend File. We'll take a short break and we'll be back very shortly.
What's up?
His friends didn't come.
Hey, let's practice.
But you're going out.
Don't worry about me.
Nothing satisfies a mother more than seeing a child grow up. But I know as he sweats, he'll face the risk of germs which can cause skin irritation.
That's why you need the new best ever Dettol Cool. Its new advanced formulation with extra menthol protects from up to 100 illness-causing germs and gives your family icy cool freshness.
Growing up needs Dettol protection.
You in the air-conditioned office with the itchy throat. Strepsils. Girl in the spotlight with the raspy throat. Strepsils. You in the pollution. It's you. Dry throat. Strepsils. Hello in the downpour with the scratchy throat. Take Strepsils. Strepsils, with its soothing medicinal ingredients, will heal the harm done to your throat from external factors. Strepsils. Strepsils. Strepsils, for a dry, itchy, raspy...
This festive season, there's no place like home. Get a GoTV decoder and GoTenna and 1 month of GoTV Max subscription for only 6,900 Naira. GoTV. Live it, love it.
To sports now. The